German nationals, UK nationals, Central American nationals, and Italian nationals have all completed this week. And of course, if you guys have any info on any of it, feel free to send it on over. We're going to be analyzing the German nationals for you guys for this video. Don't make 30% of you guys have not smashed the love and crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so we can climb up the 100K ladder. I would have been talking about UK nationals or, Italian nationals today, but there's hardly any info out on any of this stuff. So if you guys have seen anything, please feel free to reach out to me on social media so that I can try to cover this. So German nationals here. Your breakdown for this event is very, very interesting. Punk became the biggest represented deck in the top 64 for this event, which really kind of doesn't shock me all that much. Like, we saw Sword Soul kind of taking a big step forward for a lot of these events, and I mean, honestly, I really did consider Sword Soul to be the best represented deck out here for the most part, and you know what? I'm not shocked to see that. I mean, literally inverting on that is 17 Sword Soul, so one placement off from being tied with Punk for the biggest engine deck out there. So yeah, two biggest decks in the room, Punk stuff with Sword Soul. Now, we've talked about recently that Despia is kind of taking that back seat as well. If you guys watched the metagame talk earlier in the week, the general consensus across a lot of players is Despia is still a top contending deck. Don't get me wrong about that, but the more dimensional barrier shows its head through these events, the less that you see players are taking up the mantle to play this deck, because it is very fragile. Also, the mirror match is literal poop. All right, like, that mirror match is one of the most unpleasant things that I've had the chance to play. It requires so much, like, thinking that it's crazy to me. So a lot of players kind of taking a step back from them. We had 5 Flaunderies decks here in Top Cut. I'm not really surprised about that. That's actually pretty cool. Now, we had 3 Drytron. Actually, out of the UK, the event was won by Drytron this weekend. So Drytron definitely still has a high representation across your meta here. We had 3 Dragon Link. You know what? I'll give it up for Dragon Link. We've seen, actually quite recently, that Dragon Link was gaining a lot of presence out here, and quite honestly, Dragon Link's overall domination with the adventure package making that deck a lot more consistent. Any sort of good stuff you can add into a deck to basically make it more consistent, make these sorts of things way more stable, is actually a really good thing. We also only had 2 Sky Striker decks in the Top Cut. There you guys go. Mystic Mind's not such an angry card now once the format starts to get figured out, now is it? So those are your decks that all had beyond 1 representation. Now for your others. We had 1 Libromancer. Not gonna lie to you guys, I don't think that Libromancer is really a good deck. I understand that it has a very big combo-centric line about it that really kind of catches a lot of people off guard. We've definitely seen the fact that when these decks have, little tricks and schemes to them that players aren't prepared for, then you basically can get caught with your pants down, our favorite saying on this channel. So it's definitely one big thing with that is unpredictability. And I mean, I've seen like 3 to 4 different Libromancer builds out here. There's so many cool things that you can do with that deck, honestly. Building it is half of the fun here, actually. We also had 1 Evil Twin in Top Cut. I give Evil Twins a lot of crap, but the fact that they can still kind of keep up, make this top 64 representation, I'm not surprised. We also had 1 Sun Avalon, and then I see we also have a Plant Adventure deck down here. Aren't they kind of like the same thing at the end of the day? Because most of the Sun Avalon decks that I saw were usually playing the Brave package, because, I mean, your starter's a normal monster at that point, all right? So why would you not be taking advantage of that? But maybe the Plant Adventure deck plays more of like the Thurion package. I'm not really sure on that, because there's literal to no info out as of making this video, except for a few lists. We also had 1 Adagnister. We've seen going second Adagnister, one of Zohair Khan's most famous decks here in the States. You guys have seen it multiple regional tops. It's performing relatively well here. We also had an Altergeist list as well. I haven't seen Altergeist perform at all. Like, period. That deck has been dormant, quiet for so long at this point that getting the chance to show back up is really, really good. I also see here that we have all DDs, and then Tri Brigade kind of as your last little rogue represented picks here out of this event. Overall, this breakdown, it's very diverse in the places it needs to be. Unfortunately, Punk is kind of taking the headway here, and I think a lot of players are going to continue to see that. And we're going to pass on over for the deck list we have. All right, the first list we have here is the first place list out of this event. Daniel Hartman playing, yes, the Punk Thurion good stuff. So basically, all of your little Punk decks kind of come together here. You kind of decide, which little package you want to play for it. Obviously, you care more about this build getting the chance to take advantage of, your Omni Negate. Also, shout out to Talents here. Talents is gaining a lot more, support as of late. This card is really, really good. All right, gotta love it. Also, triple Argeo system. Haven't seen that in a hot second. I know a lot of builds are trying to. We have droplets for board breaking. Actually, we have the Scarlight in here for time shenanigans. Outside of that, this just looks like your standard combo deck. All right, you do basically everything that Punk Synchro good stuff does. Obviously, access to the zombie vampire. I actually like the fact this build is playing Zeus. I haven't seen a lot of Zeus showing up in these particular decks, but the fact that this can actually work, all right. Next up here is the Lucas H top 8 Sky Striker deck. Oh boy, yeah, I know. Mystic Mine ruins everybody's day to see that. I do see that we still are playing Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer in this deck. A lot of people, I think, kind of took a backseat away from, the whole DPE package. And quite honestly, maybe it's worth playing here. Now, obviously, Demise of the Lands to bring out the Mystic Mines to kind of slow down the tempo of the game. Basically, what you're looking at here is you're looking at a very good toolbox deck that just needs a couple of turns to kind of snowball some advantage that gets to bully the opponent because of Mystic Mine. And there's nothing else really too crazy about it, to be honest with you. There's just sign in the Spell and Trap, hate 5-head. Just play the Feather Duster, just draw the out. Easy enough. But by that point in time, they probably got some negates. Alright, next up here is another Punk list. Alright, so this was Cantee's top 8 list. Now, the first thing you're going to see about this is we're still playing the triple Argeo system. This build is playing the one trade-in. Basically, charge and trade-in kind of act in the same regard. I mean, most of these guys are level 8. You'll be able to just discard them, set up, do your thing. I also see that we are playing Gamma here for this. We haven't seen a lot of Gamma, if anything, in the main deck. A lot of people were pretty much pushing this as a side option. A little bit of a fun fact, you can e-telly out the Gamma if you really need to. If your entire Punk engine is gonzo, just the strange little things that I don't think a lot of people really consider for options. And yes, we have another list here playing Zeus, and we're actually playing the Dingrisu here. More little options I don't think a lot of people really considered out here. I'm just happy to see that Zeus is getting the chance to show back up, especially at this point in your metagame here. Next up is this was our top 64. This was from TCG Wildfire here. The big thing that I saw from his list was the emphasis on the double or nothing. Now, you have to remember when you look at these Sky Striker decks that getting a one-shot OTK for something like this is actually pretty crazy, especially if you're hiding underneath a Mystic Mine while your opponent is setting up monsters and things like that. Or, you've been Hayate attacking your opponent directly under Mystic Mine to kind of slow down the pace of the game to your favor if you're really trying to go about that route. You have multiple skill trees and decision-making to do, but I can definitely tell you that this will steal games. We saw this a long time ago, many formats back, where players were looking at this idea as we can steal the game sort of thing. And while it doesn't seem massively consistent at the end of the day, it is definitely something that somebody will blink and they're like, oh, I just got sacked by this. Cool ideas for 500. And the last list we have is a Sun Avalon adventure list. This went 8-3, missing out on the back end of the top cut here. We're actually playing Crossbreed. Tribute 1 link monster and target one of the playing monster gave special summon to negate its effects. I haven't seen a lot of the builds playing this. The interesting thing was this deck just went dormant for a very long time. I don't think a lot of players really considered giving this a shot, but then you blank and then you're like, oh my gosh, Sun Avalon, back at it again. Honestly, this deck is a very, very cool combo deck, and it auto loses to one Zeus. But that's a story for another day, especially when you get to the top cut for the UK Nationals, which we'll talk about another time here. But that is all I have for this video. Not a lot of info, like I said, as I'm making this video this morning here for German Nationals. We're going to try to cover UK, Italian, and Central America here later in the week. But if you guys have any info about those, please reach out to me on social media. You have all my links, and I would like the chance to get to cover them. You just need a little bit more info for substance for a video. I will see your beautiful faces back here later on the day with some more cool ass content. You guys stay safe, alright? Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.